back to another video. So I've got another wedding themed video for you this week. Sorry, the puppy has already decided he wants to make an appearance. Yeah, I've got a wedding themed video for you this week, seeing as though the day that I'm filming this is actually our 12-week to go mark. I put a question box up on my Instagram stories the other day asking if anyone had any questions or if they wanted any wedding planning advice, and I thought I would do a little bit of a Q&A today. So I think I've got about 10 questions that people submitted. A lot of them were along the same lines. There was quite a few more, but I've narrowed it down to, I think it's 10 or 11, and I'm just going to go through them and answer them. Some of them are for advice, some of them are just asking me how the planning is going. This one is obviously going to make quite a feature in the video because even though he's tired, he doesn't want to be left out. But yeah, I thought I would just answer those questions for you today. Hopefully it'll be interesting for you or helpful in some way. I hope the people that asked the questions looking for advice watch this so that they get to see my answers, and I hope you enjoy this video. It is a horrible rainy day outside, so I thought I would take advantage of that and do this video today. 12-week to go, which is incredibly exciting. I've actually just put up an Instagram story where I have opened the first draw of my countdown calendar from before the I Do's, and there was a little lip balm and lip scrub in there today. It is supposed to be a 12-day calendar, but I decided to spread it out and make it a 12-week calendar instead. So that's very exciting. And I've put a 12-week post up on my social media. It feels a lot closer now that it's 12-week. Feels like it's starting to feel like it's actually happening. It's becoming more real. So yeah, I'm so excited now, and I thought I would just tap into that excitement a bit and do this little Q&A. So I hope you enjoy it. So question number 1, which was actually the first question I got on Instagram, and that was just, how are you feeling? Which I really appreciate you asking that. Thank you to whoever sent that one in. I am feeling a lot of things. I did actually put a post on Instagram yesterday where I said that it is really hard to pick out one single emotion at the moment. I'm feeling all sorts of emotions all at once. Obviously I'm really excited. 12-week to go. It is very exciting. After waiting so long, after being together for so long, to finally be almost at our wedding is obviously incredibly exciting. And there's a lot of exciting things coming up, like dress fittings and hair and makeup trial and my hen weekend. So there's a lot to be excited about. So I am, of course, really excited. I am a bit nervous. I'm very aware of how much there is still left to do. So I'm concerned about making sure we get everything done on time. There's also obviously things about the day that I'm nervous about, like I'm worried about tripping going down the aisle and things like that, but there's a question about that later, so I'll talk about that more then. I'm also nervous about things like I've got an appointment for contact lenses coming up, which I never wear contact lenses. I've tried them once before and I just could not get away with them. But I really don't want to wear my glasses for the wedding, so I've got an appointment for that coming up again, which I'm a bit worried about. So yeah, the nerves are there as well, and the worry. It's strange. The closest we've got to a wedding date is about 9 or 10 weeks, which was in 2020, and then we postponed. Since then, anytime we've got to another one of our dates, we've always postponed well before we've got there. So the closest we've ever got to our wedding date was the original one when we were about 9 or 10 weeks away. And I think until we get past that point, I'm not going to properly believe that it's happening. I'm still sort of waiting for something to go wrong. Touch wood, it won't. I'm sure it won't. Nothing major anyway to like postpone it again or anything like that. But I think until we get to sort of 8-9 weeks, I'm still going to have that feeling of something is going to go wrong again. So even though it is really exciting, there's still that nagging thought in the back of my mind of something's going to go wrong. It keeps going wrong. We've had to postpone 4 times. But overall, excitement is how I'm feeling. I've got my monthly to-do lists, we're keeping on top of everything, everything's getting done. I'm already keeping an eye on the weather report, and even that is looking sunny for pretty much the whole week leading up to the wedding. So yeah, the main emotion is excitement at the moment. So thank you to whoever asked that one. Question number 2, that is, has much changed since your original wedding date for the plans? Honestly, no. The majority of things, the big things, are all exactly the same. We have been really lucky that every time we've postponed, all of our suppliers have still been available. Unfortunately, we did have our cake maker, our DJ and the coach company close their business, which I have mentioned previously, so we had to find new ones of those. But the people that we've got now, we are really happy with. I know they're all going to do a brilliant job, and I trust them, and they're really reliable, so I'm happy with that now. I'm okay with that changing. The dog wants out, give me 1 minute. And with the power of editing, I'm back. What was I saying? Yeah, so those 3 suppliers we did have to change because they sadly closed their businesses. The less said about the coach company that closed, the better, because they still have our deposit and they've disappeared off the face of the earth. But as I say, I'm really happy with who we've got now, so none of that had to change. We haven't changed anything big, like we've still got the same colour scheme. I know some brides like went off their bridesmaid dress colour and things like that. That hasn't happened, all of that is still the same. We haven't had any big fallouts or anything like that, so all of the wedding parties still the same. All of the big things are still exactly as they were. We were so in love with our original wedding plans, which is what made it so hard when we had to postpone, but we loved everything that we'd already planned so much that we didn't see the need to change any of it. There is going to be a new priest performing our ceremony now, as the priest that was going to be doing it has taken a step back. He's not retired, he's just taken a step back, so he isn't going to be doing our service, but we've met the one that is, and he seems lovely. We got on really well with him, so totally happy with him doing that. And then I think the only other things that have changed really are little things that are additions to the wedding. So there's a couple of things with the flowers that I've added in, a couple of decorative bits that I've added in, and DIYs that I've decided to add in, all things that I've been inspired to do from other people's Instagrams. So Instagram is to blame for all of my new ideas. But yeah, they're all just little additions that I'm not going to say what they are because I don't want to spoil them. But that's the only thing that's changed really, those little extras. I mean, even the date is pretty much still identical. It was the 2nd of May and now it's the 7th of May. So yeah, that's pretty much the only thing that's changed. We really didn't want to change anything if we could help it, because as I say, we were so in love with our original date. Sorry about the lighting change. After it raining all day, the sun is now deciding to come streaming through our back window. Question number 3 is, what are some of the little things that people could easily forget about? This is a hard question for me to answer because, as you may know, I am a massive overplanner and overthinker, and I don't forget about anything. My to-do list has literally every minute detail on it, so I would never forget any of the little things. At least I like to think I wouldn't. But trying to answer that question, if I think about it from a normal person's point of view, things like checking delivery times for things like flowers or the cake, checking if they are going to deliver them or if you have to collect and take them to your venue. Things like the hair and makeup artists, what time are they going to be arriving with you if they're coming to you? On that topic, if they are coming to you, is there a travel charge for them? I know with our hair and makeup artist, it is the same shop that's doing it all. They are coming to my house the morning of the wedding, but there is a £20 travel charge for them doing that, so that is worth checking. For your dress, are they going to deliver it on the day of the wedding, or do you have to collect it in advance? There would be nothing worse than just assuming they're going to deliver it to you and then they don't. So yeah, definitely worth checking. Accessories, so for the groom and the best man and people like that, something as simple as what colour socks you want them to wear. You don't want them all just turning up in random pairs of bright coloured socks, unless that is what you've planned. I know some people like having jazzy socks for the men, underwear for the women, for the bridesmaids and yourself. If you've got strapless dresses, have you got the right kind of bra to go underneath them? Lots of little things like that that I know I've made sure I've thought of, but I can see why they could easily be forgotten. But I do think that if something's little enough that you could forget about it, chances are it maybe isn't too important. The things that I've listed there are all things that people probably would think of, but to me, on my list, they are the little things. So yeah, I find that question really difficult because I am a massive overplanner and nothing is a little thing to me. But yeah, I hope that answers that question. Question number 4 is, how do you know what is a good price for things? This is another hard question because I think it's very subjective. I also think it's very area specific. So what you think might be a good price for something, someone else might not. My budget will be completely different to your budget. Where I live could be completely different to where you live, and that makes a massive difference in the cost of things. I know, for example, in London and further down south to where we live, the price of things is extortionate compared to some of the prices around where I'm from, which is in the sort of Lake District area. So it is a very subjective question, but, oh, dog's back again. But I would say that the best way to work out what is a good price is to have a look on some wedding forums and even ask around on Instagram for your local area. Get a price range that seems to be the average for your area, and then make your decision from there based on what you think is a good price. So for example, if you find out the average price for a 3-tier wedding cake in your area is between £200 and £400, but you decide that you aren't willing to pay more than £300, so then that's your budget set. You know that for you, anything over £300 is too much, and anything under, obviously if it's ridiculously under, you might want to query if it's too good to be true, but at least you have that sort of benchmark to go by. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard to answer that because everyone has different opinions. I mean, the price that we've paid for some of our things, people might think is so cheap compared to quotes that they've got, whereas other people who have been on a really strict wedding budget might think that we've paid far too much. But that is definitely my best advice. Ask around, get loads of quotes from different suppliers as well in your local area to get sort of an average price, and then go from there for what you are willing to pay. There isn't really any good prices, it's just how much you're willing to pay for that particular thing for your wedding. The next question is a lovely one. It is, what am I most excited for? Obviously, I'm most excited just to finally be married. After all of the postponements and all of the waiting, we've been together for nearly 12 years, 11 and a half years. We've been engaged since 2014. We were supposed to get married 2 years ago. So after all that, I am just excited to finally be married. Yes, we are, aren't we? But other than that, other than the obvious, I am excited for the morning of the wedding, for that build up, to get my hair and makeup done, because I never get my hair and makeup professionally done. I've never had my makeup professionally done, and I'll go for like a trim at the hairdressers, but I never get anything major done. I never really go for it styled or anything. So I'm very excited for that, and to feel special and to be made like a princess. So I'm excited for that. I am excited to get to the church and see Richard waiting at the end of the aisle for me. I'm not excited about walking down the aisle, I am terrified about walking down the aisle. But to see him standing there waiting for me, I am excited for. I'm excited for that moment when they finally announce us husband and wife and we get to walk back down that aisle together knowing we are married. I actually think I will cry at that point out of happiness and just relief that we've finally done it. What else? I am excited for a good chicken dinner at our reception. Our venue does a very good chicken dinner. He's going to get excited because I've said the word chicken. Yeah, I love a chicken dinner and our venue does a very good one, so I'm excited for that. And to be honest, I am just excited to be in a big room of people celebrating something. It has been so long since I've been in a room full of people celebrating and having a good time. With everything that's gone on the last couple of years, I think we all need that. We all need that enjoyment. So just to be able to have a dance, to be near people without wearing a mask, to be able to hug people and just celebrate with everyone that we care about, which is what we've wanted all along. It's the reason we've kept postponing. I am very, very excited for that. Question number 6 is a request for advice again, and that is tips for dealing with bridesmaid dress shopping drama. I'm not the best person to ask for that because I was really lucky and I didn't have any. I've got younger bridesmaids, and then I've got a maid of honour and one older bridesmaid, and whether it was just really good luck that they both agreed or whether they just wanted to make my life easy, I don't know, but either way they really easily agreed on the same dress. Me and my mum went to the shop first and picked out maybe 4 or 5 dresses that I really liked for them, and then I went with my maid of honour and my bridesmaid and they tried them all on. Their 2 favourite dresses were my 2 favourites, which was good, and then they both agreed on the one that they preferred, which was so wonderful. I was really worried that we were going to have opposing favourites and I would have to make the decision, which I did not want to do. I don't like making decisions. So yeah, I was really lucky in that sense. But to anyone who is having drama with bridesmaid dress shopping or just bridesmaids in general, I would say that just remind them that as much as you want them to be happy and you want them to feel comfortable and confident in their dress, it's your wedding day. As bridezilla as that might sound, it is your wedding day, and while you do want them to be comfortable and you want them to be happy, no one should be causing you any unnecessary stress. If they do, then they shouldn't be in the wedding. That maybe sounds harsh, but they just shouldn't be. It's stressful enough planning a wedding as it is, especially planning through a pandemic. Nobody should be causing you any unnecessary stress. If they have a genuine concern, they should come to you and calmly discuss it like grown-ups, hear each other out, put your point of view forward and find a solution. But nobody needs to be causing a fuss, causing arguments, making drama. It just doesn't need to happen. So I would just sit them down and say, look, if you've got a real issue, talk to me about it. We'll try and find a way through it. We'll find a way around it. We'll find a way where everyone can be somewhat happy, but don't cause a fuss because it's your wedding. I hope that helps in some way. I know for a lot of these questions I'm saying I'm not the best person to answer them, but I just don't want people to sort of take what I'm saying and run with it. But that is my best advice. Just remind them that it is your day, but you will try your best to keep them happy and comfortable, but they just need to talk to you. They don't need to cause a huge commotion about it. Question number 7 is, what is the one piece of advice that I would give to anyone just starting to plan their wedding? And to be honest, I think that I would give the same piece of advice to anyone planning their wedding, regardless of whether they're just starting to, or they're in the middle of it, or they're nearly at their wedding. My piece of advice would be to remember that you can't please everybody. It's just impossible. I know when it comes to a wedding, a lot of people, me included, can worry about offending people, can worry about making the right decisions, wanting to keep everybody happy, and it's just not possible. Whether it's the favours, the dresses, the guest list, the seating plan, even the location or the date and time of your wedding, there's always going to be something that people aren't happy about or that people would say they've done differently. Like, I can guarantee on my wedding day there will be people who will be whittering amongst themselves saying, have you seen that? I wouldn't have done that way. Like, you just can't please everybody. Everyone has different opinions, everyone has different preferences. Everyone is an individual who would plan their day their way. So you're never going to be able to please everybody. So please just don't try to. You'll drive yourself crazy. You'll add so much more stress onto the planning process, and it's just not necessary because the outcome is just going to be the same. You're not going to please everybody. Of course, the people closest to you, when they give their opinions, take them on board, listen to them. You don't want to deliberately antagonise or offend people. So pay attention when people give you their opinions, if it's someone that's close to you and you trust what they've got to say, because some of the best ideas come from other people. Like I said before, a lot of my ideas have come from Instagram. So definitely do pay attention to what people tell you, but don't base your whole wedding around making other people happy, because it is your day after all. Yes, isn't it? It is your day and you want to be happy, and it's a day that you're going to remember forever. You're going to be looking back at photos, maybe videos, you're going to be reminiscing about this day, and you want to be happy with how you did it. So don't spend your time trying to please everybody, because it's just not going to happen. The next question, and I hope you're still with me, there's only a few more. The next question is for tips for planning a church wedding as a non-religious person. Now, I wouldn't exactly say I'm a non-religious person, but I'm not a regular churchgoer, and I'm assuming that this question has come from the fact that I've mentioned on my Instagram that I am a non-Catholic getting married in a Catholic church. So my two main tips would be, firstly, before you get your heart set on anything to do with your ceremony, make sure you check it with the church, with the priest or the vicar. Just have a little meeting with them, talk through your ideas, and just check things with them. Because I know, for example, the church that we're getting married in, we can't have any music that is on a CD player or from something like Spotify. We have got an organist that is playing at our wedding. I knew this in advance, so I knew not to get my heart... Can you still see me? I knew not to get my heart set on, say, a song on Spotify that they wouldn't be able to play for religious reasons and for licensing reasons. And because the service does get live streamed from our church, they can't have certain types of music. So I knew not to get my heart set on that. Things like readings. In religious ceremonies, you may find that there's certain readings they just don't want you to have, or they would prefer you not to have, or they might have recommendations of certain readings. So before you absolutely get your heart set on something to then be disappointed if you can't have it, just double check it with the priest or the vicar or whoever's doing it. I do find in general that non-religious ceremonies tend to be a bit more relaxed with what you can and can't have than a religious ceremony, for obvious reasons. So it is definitely worth talking everything through before you make any definite decisions, which is what we did, and everything has been okayed that we are wanting to use, so we are very happy. My second tip would be not to get yourself too stressed out about the fact that it is a religious ceremony. I'm assuming this question has come from someone who is getting themselves a bit worked up at the thought of planning a religious ceremony when they are particularly particularly religious. And I did get myself a bit stressed out about that, the fact that I'm not a Catholic getting married in a Catholic church. Before we even got the date booked with the church, I was so scared about going to meet with the priest. I was absolutely convinced that he was going to tell me because I'm not a Catholic I couldn't marry Richard. I was convinced, and it was nothing of the sort. He was lovely, there was no issues. And then when it came to the time for going to the marriage session that we had to do, I was convinced that it was going to be awful, that I wasn't going to have a clue what was going on, that I would be the only non-Catholic person there, that there would be pressure to convert to be a Catholic, and there was none of that. I actually really enjoyed it. It was really interesting. The people there were lovely. I wasn't the only non-Catholic. So both of the examples where I have been terrified or really nervous about something to do with not being a Catholic, I've worried for no reason. It has been absolutely fine. So just don't get yourself too stressed out about it. Obviously there's certain restrictions and there's a bit more goes into it when it's a religious service, but just don't get too bogged down in that. Just be careful, talk things through with the person performing your ceremony, and just enjoy it because it's still your wedding regardless of whether it's a religious service or not. I hope that answers your question, and I hope that helps to the person that asked that on Instagram. Question number 9 is, what are your nerves and worries? So I did touch on this slightly throughout the video, but to address it as a question on its own, my main worries aren't the big things. Anything big, like what if the cars don't turn up, If they don't turn up, then you ring them. What if it rains? We've got umbrellas. What if I don't like my hair and makeup on the morning? You change it. There's always workarounds for the big things. The things I'm worried about are more the stupid little things that I know I shouldn't be worried about, but I am. So, like, I'm worried about tripping and falling flat on my face going down the aisle. There's a very, very slim chance of that happening, especially when my uncle's walking me. I'm going to have hold of him. Even if I did start to stumble, he's not going to let me fall flat on my face. But that worries me. If I am so nervous that I'm shaking and my hands are shaking when I try to put Richard's wedding ring on him and I can't get it on him because I'm shaking too much and I look like an idiot, that worries me. No, it doesn't need to. I wouldn't look like an idiot if that did happen, and chances are it won't happen, but that worries me. My little nerves are all these tiny little stupid things that I know that I don't need to worry about. When it gets to the morning, I know that they will all completely disappear. But for now, those are the things that are worrying me, because I know that the things that there's nothing I can really do about them. Any of the big things, if something goes wrong, there's a solution, there's a workaround, there's a fix. The little things like, what if I fall flat on my face going down the aisle? There's nothing I can do about that. I've got flat shoes. My dress is going to be a length where I'm not going to trip over it. I've got someone walking with me that they will catch me if I start to stumble. There's nothing more I can do, but it still worries me. But I know once it gets to the day that the things I'm nervous about, I won't be nervous about anymore. So yeah, I'm just a bit of an overthinker and an over-worrier. So I hope that answers your question, and I hope that makes anyone else that's an overthinker and an over-worrier feel better to know that there is other people like you worrying about the same stupid, pointless worries that you are. Question number 10, and the second to last question, is how did you choose your music? I'm really struggling. Well, I've thought about this a lot, and I think the problem with choosing music for your wedding is people fall into the trap of thinking that the songs all have to have some special meaning or a special memory attached to them, and they don't. It's lovely if they do, don't get me wrong. If every song to do with your wedding has some kind of special memory or special meaning for you, then that is lovely. But it doesn't have to. It could just be that it's a song that you both really like. It could be a song that the lyrics really mean something when you listen to them. It can be a song that you've never heard until you start trying to pick your wedding songs, and all of a sudden you think, oh yeah, that's lovely. It doesn't have to be some like epic romantic song. One song in our ceremony has sort of a special meaning to us. It reminds us of our holidays, and that means a lot. One song in the ceremony we're using just because it's a traditional song and I wanted to use it. And the other song is just a really nice piece of music that has lovely lyrics, even though we won't have the lyrics. We know them and we know what it means. And that's it. Our first dance song, it means something to us now because we've listened to it for so long thinking about our wedding day and it being our first dance. But we found it just by looking for a first dance song. We didn't even know it existed until we started looking for one. We'd never heard it before. It's got sort of a special meaning in the fact that it has a Disney reference in it. It's a romantic song, but mainly it's just a really gorgeous song that I fell in love with when I heard it, and we both agreed it would be the perfect song for our first dance. So don't get yourself too bogged down in the idea of everything having to have a meaning. It doesn't. As long as it's a song that you both love and that you're gonna enjoy remembering as part of your wedding day, then you can have it. It doesn't have to be something overly special to you in advance. And I think that's the main problem when people are trying to think of music. The other thing as well, I think, is that at first when we were looking, I fell into the trap of thinking all the songs had to sort of tie together. Like one of the songs in our ceremony, the one that does have meaning to us, it reminds us of our holidays. So then I started to fall down this hole of, well, all the other songs need to as well, like they all needed to match in a way, if that makes any sense. And it took a lot for me to realise they really didn't need to. If anything, that's going to make it really cringy and the songs aren't going to mean anything at all. We're going to have picked them just because they match, even if we don't necessarily even really like them. So yeah, it took me a while to get out of that mindset. So just make a playlist of songs that you like, get your partner to do the same, sit down together and talk about why you like particular songs, and find songs that you both really love that work for your wedding. That is the best advice I can give for the music. Okay, last question, and one that I do actually feel very qualified to answer. I hope everybody's still with me. I think this might have been a bit of a longer video. Is how do I get more organised? I feel like I'm going to forget important things because I'm so disorganised. As you will all know, I am an incredibly organised person. I am maybe too organised at times. Sometimes it is an incredible blessing, and sometimes it can be a real pain in the bum because it makes me stress about things that don't need stressed about, and it makes me panic about how much there is to do. But overall, I do think it's a benefit to be a bit more organised. And as awful as this sounds, I think there are two types of people. There are people who are and people who aren't, and that's just how you are. If you're a disorganised person, you're a disorganised person. But that isn't to say that there isn't things you can do to help you when planning big events like this to be more organised. You just have to find the right way for you. So for me, that is lists, like actual physical lists, not just on my phone, which I do have a copy on there so that it's always with me, but I need a physical, printed or handwritten list as well. And I have my main master list on a clipboard, which literally has every single tiny thing for the wedding. I've then split that into months, and each month I have a to-do list of certain things I want to get done to make sure it all gets done in time for the wedding. That is what works for me. It might work for you, it might not. I know there's some people who prefer to set alarms on their phone. They'll maybe decide on, say, 3 things they want to get done this week, and they'll set an alarm for certain days and times of the week to remind them to do it. That works for them. I know that I've seen people on Instagram who use post-it notes, and they will find a wall, a mirror, a door, something in their house, a big blank space. They will write every job they know they need to do onto a post-it note and stick it on the wall or the door or whatever. If they think of new things, they put another post-it on there. Every time they do one of them, they take the post-it off. They do it somewhere obvious that it's always there for them to see and be reminded, and that is what works for them. There's loads of different organisational techniques, especially specifically for weddings or big events. It's all out there. Just look up organisation tips, have a read through them, even try them out, maybe like one week or 1 month, depending on how long you've got to go. Try one technique, then try another. Just find what works for you and stick with it. The thing with organisation for me is to be consistent and persistent. If you give up on your lists, say, and you just forget about them, you put them away, you ignore them, then obviously everything isn't going to get done. You've got to keep on top of them, you've got to keep reminding yourself, keep pushing yourself to get things done, and you will. And that is my advice for being a bit more organised. I'm sure even if you are incredibly unorganised and nothing seems to work for you, everything will still fall into place. You don't have to be the most organised person in the world to pull a wedding together. People do it in weeks or in a couple of months. You can definitely do it regardless. And you could always even have that backup if you've got a particularly organised bridesmaid or maid of honour to remind you of what needs done, or even your partner if they're more organised than you. But either way, don't stress yourself out. Even if you aren't organised, your wedding's still going to be amazing and you're still going to get it all done in the end. It just might be a little bit more stressful when you realise how much you've got to do. So that is the end of this Q&A. There was a few more questions, but I think this video has gone on long enough, and a lot of them were along similar lines. So I do hope that you have enjoyed it. I hope it has been interesting to any other brides or even just people who are interested in me or the wedding. I hope it has been helpful to some of you. I hope the advice that I've given has either made it back to the person who has asked it now, or has helped anybody else out there that might have been wondering it. Thank you again so much for watching this video. There's going to be a lot more wedding content probably coming, so I'm sorry if that isn't what you follow me for, but it is getting closer now, so there's going to be more of it. But I will still throw something different in every now and again for those who aren't interested in the wedding side of it. If you are new here, please do go and check out my other videos. I apologise for the very cringy first few. I've got more confident and comfortable with it now. And please do click that subscribe button if you haven't already. It does mean the world to me when I get more subscribers. I do have goals for this channel and more subscribers is definitely one of them. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.